Hey, somebody needs to throw out the first pitch. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, The Professional Noticer is sponsored by WisdomHarbor.com. Today, families and school systems all over America are finding WisdomHarbor.com's one-of-a-kind streaming service to be the perfect, low-cost, high-quality educational tool for their students. Wisdom Harbor's stated responsibility is to create the next greatest generation, starting with your hometown and your school system. For less than $3 a month per teachers, classrooms have access to original content only found on WisdomHarbor.com that teaches, entertains, and builds character in young people while creating conversations between young people and the adults in their community. Utilizing video, audio, and the written word, content is delivered in small bites by Grammy winners, CEOs, comedians, chefs, best-selling authors, and Hall of Fame speakers. There are even guitar lessons from an award-winning songwriter. Check it out today and join your friends and neighbors who are already a part of WisdomHarbor.com. And isn't it time your schools got involved? WisdomHarbor.com, creating America's next greatest generation, starting with your hometown. Observations and answers, that's what we do here on The Professional Noticer. And as you know, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. And today, we have two people coming to the table with both. We have heard so much in the past couple or 3 years about, well, and I say so much, an increasing amount about travel ball, about the concept of travel ball in baseball and soccer and basketball and softball. And so we've heard so much about it, and it seems to be varying opinions and varying, I guess, amounts of knowledge about who knows what and how people are misinformed. Or in any case, we decided to go to some sources and to find out some stuff about travel ball and about the kids who participate, the parents who participate. And we have with us today one of I guess he is one of the most esteemed coaches in travel ball history, Coach Rocky Thompson, who is the head coach of the Birmingham Thunderbolts, and we have him on with us. Rocky, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, no problem.
And we also have a parent, Matt Wilson. Matt and Rebecca are friends of mine and Polly's, and I've known Matt for a long time. Matt works with college and professional athletes and has just happened to have kids in travel ball. And so, Matt, thank you for being here with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, and I want to ask, I guess, Rocky, how would you define travel ball? And I'm curious as to how you would define it versus what people think of when they hear about it.
Well, yeah, that is a good question, because a lot of athletes, parents will not distinguish travel ball in a bunch of different ways. So in all things, everything is travel, because it's not played at the house. So you have to go somewhere. Some distinguished travel ball is going 30 minutes up the road, or what the case may be. But in our world, travel ball is traveling all across the country. So we're talking about, for us, we from Florida to Georgia to Colorado to Chicago, Kansas City, Oklahoma, you name it. We've gone a lot of places. So that's travel ball in our world. And I guess you want to say you have to go on a weekly, every 2 weeks or whatever the case, and playing. If you got to travel at least 4 or 5 hours to play, that will include travel ball from the travel aspect. So it could be defined in a bunch of different ways, depends on the level, because travel ball has changed in a whole a whole lot since the time period I've been here.
When did the concept start? When did the concept of it start? Because when I was a kid, it's like you played little league in the summertime, and then that was kind of it.
Yeah. Well, I cannot tell you exactly when it started because I kind of got to just basically work my way in with the Birmingham Thunderbolts. But I say because just like yourself, I played baseball, but I played like Dixie U, Babe Ruth. I didn't have no understanding of what travel ball was. It was just baseball and the rec leagues and stuff like that. The travel ball. And I think it all based around starting to put when you start to separate athletes, you putting the best with the best, and you going out to play those organizations or those teams. So a lot of things have changed now because there are more teams. There's more teams involved and whatnot. So
and
that whole aspect is a lot different now.
Birmingham Thunderbolts are a high school girls softball team, right?
Well, well, for us, we have ages from 8U all the way to 18s.
Okay,
so it's just
several teams in a graduating year that are classed according to a graduating year.
Correct.
Okay, and you have, I guess, your daughter is 25.
Yes, sir.
Year 25.
2025, correct.
And so, how did you guys get involved with? How did you guys connect with Rocky?
So Daigle started when she was 7 or 8 years old, and she played with a team based here locally, and played with that team for a few years. And then most of the girls on the team were older, so as they were aging up, Daigle was able to stay down, but she had played against the Bolts probably 6, 8, 10 months prior to, and one of the coaches had reached out to me and had an interest in Daigle coming and playing for the Bolts. And I said, well, the timing's not right now. But when most of her teammates were moving up, I asked Daigle, I said, well, would you like to try out for the Bolts? Because you don't just say, hey, I want to play. There's a tryout process, and she said that she wanted to. So we drove to Birmingham from Orange Beach, and she just wanted to watch practice at that particular time, and they were getting ready to go to California. So we drove up, watched practice, and I told her, I said, hey, if you don't like what you see, that's fine. We don't have to take part or whatever. And she watched practice and spent time with the coaches and the girls, and she said, I want to play here. And she was at the ripe old age of, I think, maybe 10. So I said, well, this is what you want to do. And the coaches extended an opportunity for her to join the team. And so we became Bolts at that particular time. And I had heard about Coach Rocky. Coach Rocky didn't coach that particular team, but he was well known for having these practices on the weekends that are like 4 hours or 8 hours long, for Saturdays and Sundays. And so we would come up and go to practice, and then that's how I met Coach Rocky at that particular time. So, but he's phenomenal. The way he runs these practices is absolutely incredible.
Coach, what is your goal for these girls? What is the outcome? Because you are coaching the Birmingham Thunderbolts are an elite team. I mean, we hear about people being on travel ball teams and they may travel 30 minutes away or travel, to the next county, and they call it travel ball. But as I understand it, your girls are all looking at college scholarships.
Correct.
And so, go ahead.
Well, that's the ultimate goal for, and I would tell any player, if that's not your goal, you don't aspire to go play college ball. The Birmingham Thunderbolts, so what we do here is not for you. If you just want to play, that this is not what you want to do, because it's work. Like I said, we're trying to prepare them not just for softball, but life as well. But I would say now what we do is tough. Like, so it's tough coaching. It's a lot of love, but it's also tough coaching, because we're trying to make sure they are as well prepared for the next level as possible. So
now I hear you say prepare them for the next level and prepare them for life. And so I've worked with a lot of college programs and have worked, in some aspects of some professional programs. And I know how important character is to the process. And so when you say preparing them for life, how specifically do you do that? What do you involve yourself in with their social media, with the way they act, what way they dress, what?
Well, all of that's part of our process. Image means a lot. All right. So we're in a time, where we have, just like your job or any job, you have, your perception or your image that you want to portray. So that's one of the things as being part of our organization. There's a certain look. We want our players to act a certain way. And then, like I said, all our players have their own identity, but there's also a base ground that we want to have for the organization. So that's, certain things attract certain people. So we want to make sure that, like I say, we want to have structure. And that's part of life. That's part of jobs or whatever the case. So there's certain guidelines that we have, from how you walk into the park, how you put your bags up, how you wear your clothing, what you're supposed to look like, what your social media look like. Especially now, social media is a big part of networking for these players. So as well as what you put on social media can be looked at 1,000 different ways based on who's looking at it. So we want to make sure, and sometimes we had to have talks with players that can post something that's borderline, that may be innocent, but it may be borderline.
Like, give me an example of that. Give me an example of that.
Well, I just can't give you an example of that.
You don't have to name any names, but like, what would be borderline? Matt, have you seen anything that?
Well, I've heard stories. It's sometimes what music they're listening to, or maybe they're singing the words to certain songs and they're acting, a little crazy, and maybe that's not what you want to do on social media and put that out there for everybody's consumption. What you're wearing, what you're doing, what you're listening to. If you want to listen to something that's pretty crazy, maybe you do that in your car, but you don't necessarily do it and jump around and act a fool and video it and then put it out there for everyone to see, because, that's not necessarily a good look. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's what Coach Rocky's kind of alluding to, something along those lines. It's like, hey, girls, everybody's got their eyes on you. And if you want to impress these college coaches, don't act like, a buffoon and put it on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen many, many times, in hiring and firing in corporate America, where when you get to the elite, when you've gone through 500 people to get to 5, there's not that much difference in those 5 as far as their experience or their education. And so you have to start using other things to make a decision. And if the decision is how they treat a waitress or how they treat a coworker, and I mean, that's what it kind of comes down to, how you act.
Yes.
And what you're saying right there, Andy, I can tell you from experience, when my daughter was being recruited, we went to one particular university, and parents spend so much time and effort on how fast is my kid, how hard do they throw, what does their exit velocity when they hit a ball. They worry about all these statistical things and things that you can measure. How many home runs, what's my batting average? And can I tell you, when we were sitting there with these coaches and they offered her a scholarship to come play, None of that was part of the conversation. The only thing that they made mention of was her attitude on the field and in the dugout around her teammates. Going back to what you said, you narrow 500 to 5, what separates them? Well, the coach at this particular school never once said anything about anything measurable. The only thing they discussed was how terrible her team was doing that particular day. They were having a bad day. And how she was encouraging her teammates, encouraging her pitcher after every pitch. She went into the dugout and was encouraging all of her teammates as they were batting or doing whatever. They said that when they saw her doing that, that's when they knew they had to have her on their team, is what they said. But as a parent, and Rock can attest to this, how many stolen bases, or how many innings did my kid get to pitch, or what position is my child playing, or what's my, my batting average, how many strikeouts, all those kind of things, depending on what position your kid is, will dictate what you kind of focus or worry on.
I would kind of imagine that once they get to the point where college coaches are looking at them, they've got the measurables.
Correct.
Or the coach isn't even looking at them. And so now it's up to, what kind of teammate are you going to be? What kind of an influence are you going to be? What kind of mentor are you going to be? A coach is trying to, a coach is not thinking about a 4-year college career. A coach is thinking about a 30-year career. And so a coach has got to blend people together to do something extraordinary. And that, as we know, you can put remember the Olympic basketball team with Allen Iverson and that bunch of guys, all the best players on the planet, and get beat in the Olympics by college teams because they weren't a team. And so when you, Coach Rocky, when you are talking to the college coaches, what are they asking you about these girls?
Well, the first thing is the coaches are going out to measure talent. They're going out to view talent. That's the first thing. All right. So that's the first thing that's attractive. All right. So just to be clear, the coaches have one job. Can you help me win?
Right.
Right. That's nothing wrong with that. That's what they get paid to do. All right. Find talent, put it on the field. So character and all that stuff. Those are key points and good points, and you want to have that. But at the same time, you got to have talent. Just getting a bunch of good kids, as we say, sometimes just having a bunch of good kids get you beat. So if I just got a bunch of good kids and I get beat, then I lose my job. So you got you want the whole package, but it has to start somewhere. All right. So you're looking at the talent piece. What can that talent do for me? Does it work? Now, once you dig into it, then you start to realize, okay, because once you look at the window, especially with recruiting and everything now, do coaches really learn their players? College coaches really don't learn their players until they get to college, because the recruiting process is short. It's September 1. And then a lot of these young ladies are committing within a 2-month, 3-month time span. But you got to understand they're talking to several other people. It's not like they're talking to the same individual every day. So how much do I know someone within 3 months, in which I'm maybe talking to them once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever the case. And some of them attend camps. But some of the conversations we just have based off of, because I have the luxury of being around all my players. So I see them in games, I see them in practice. I see the whole 9 yards, so I can give a little bit more insight. So they're asking what type of player they are, what type of family they're coming from, what type of teammate they are. How do they handle pressure? What do they do? And it's some of those things, because sometimes when college coaches are watching games and stuff, they don't get a chance to see every game. So sometimes they depend on coaches like myself that's been around a little while. And one thing I pride myself on, and I tell all my players, one thing I'm not going to do is lie for you. So I'm gonna be upfront with coaches. So if you come work like you're supposed to, we have no issues when I have a conversation with a coach. If you give me I'm not gonna hurt another generation of players over one player. Because that can affect one of my players three or 4 years down the road. So I never want to do that. So my word is my bond. So like I said, again, go back to your original question. Coaches just want to know the insights of a player, insights of families. Sometimes there may be financial, financial, whatever the case may be, just to understand our family dynamics or whatever the case may be. Or it just may be, hey, what are these players looking for? What is she looking for? Just to give them an idea of what the case may be. Because like I said, there's tons of schools. That school may not be a fit, on the coach's side or on the player side. So I'm talking on both sides with the parents and player, and with those coaches, along with my other coaches. We have several great coaches that help and aid in the process of players going to the next level.
Matt, and I don't mean to bring up something that you guys might not want to talk about, but this sounds expensive to me. And so as a parent, I mean, how much of a thought process is that? Can we afford this? And I mean, I don't have the idea how much it is, but I know that Rebecca had to be for a couple of weeks with Daigle in California last summer.
Correct. And the summer before and the summer before.
Really? Okay.
And sometimes I'm with them. We have two children that are athletes, and sometimes we're not both able to be there. We've got to kind of divide and conquer. But
Chandler, your son, who's a senior, just committed to Louisiana Monroe as a tight end. And then Daigle, who's in the 11th grade, has already committed to Auburn.
Sure have.
So,
but back to your question, it's expensive, but I mean, kids are expensive. You know what I mean? If you're not doing travel ball, maybe you're doing dance or a band thing. I mean, everybody knows kids are expensive. And when ours decided when she was 7 years old that this was a dream that, she wanted to chase, we just did like most parents do and figure out a way to make it work. I mean, you have the flights and the hotels and those kind of things, and it adds up, but it's just part of helping your kid, chase their dreams. And,
right.
We're able to make it work and figure it out. And we used to travel, all four of us together, and then as her brother got older, and then he and I would go to football camps in the summer, and Daigle's on the other side of the country, chasing her dreams, and he's chasing his, and we just kind of split up and,
divide and conquer.
It's divide and conquer. And I'll tell you a fun story. Daigle and they were in California chasing. They had won the PGFs the year before, which is like the big tournament for travel ball. A lot of the college coaches are there. And so the following year, they were.
How many college coaches will watch one of these games in person?
Anywhere from 2 or 3 to 20 or 30.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
You guys have games where 20 or 30 college coaches.
And they're not just there to see our kids. There's kids on the other teams that they want to see.
No. The other teams don't matter. It's our team that matters.
But this particular year, they had reached the championship game, and I was watching her game on my phone. And when they advanced to the championship game that night, I made arrangements and got on a plane and flew to California. And she didn't know I was coming, so she calls me. I'm already in the Atlanta airport, and she's calling me, to say, hey, we made a championship game, whatever. And when I answered the phone, I was FaceTiming her, and I leaned out of the way so she could see where my destination was, which was Orange County or whatever out in California.
Right.
I said, you can't be out there in California winning a championship without your dad there, So when I got there, all the girls were like, oh, it's Mr. Matt. So I was like, girls, y'all can't win this thing without me being here. And as luck would have it, they didn't win again. So that was a fun story. And I told my son, I said, hey, I'm leaving to go to California. And he said, when are you leaving? I said, now.
Now.
I said, so feed the dog and take care of the house.
Wow.
But it's a fun, it's been a fun ride.
Coach, what do you look for in parents? I mean, because I would imagine in your position, you are kind of like, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you're kind of an arms broker. I mean, you're in between these people who want these kids and these people who have these kids, and and so how do you view the parents, or I mean, how important are the parents to who you choose to coach? Because I mean, they're trying to get into a college, but they're also trying to get into your program. I mean, there are thousands of girls trying to get into his program, right?
Hundreds.
Okay.
Maybe thousands.
Well, I would say this. So I'm not handpicking all the players. I help with some of the players because, like I said, we got different age groups. So a lot of the coaches, they will go out and look for see talent that I don't see, and draw those players to the organization. And the organization draws players also. So like I said, it's a family, it's a team. We work as a team when we're doing all that. But one of the things that we have with all our coaches and myself, one thing that we look at, like I said, it's a juggle between the players, the parents, and the coaches when it comes to this 14, 16, 14-year-old level, because recruiting brings out the craziness in a lot of their parents. So when that time comes, you got to know how to manage that, because the players themselves start to have a different mindset, all right? Because the game's supposed to be fun, all right? The game's supposed to be fun. Want to enjoy it, but then some added pressure comes from somewhere. So whether that's the parents, or whether they feel the pressure of coaches watching, or there's, pressure from myself with me understanding the platform that they have and what needs to be seen. Like I said, it's always easier when players just go out and just play. Like I said, they just have the passion for the game. And then it's a little different when players just play the game. So one thing that we look for, we like to have, and sometimes you don't understand, parents don't understand it, players don't understand it. It's actually when you start to actually play. Practice is easy because most of our parents, they come to practice and they just sit back and watch. But it's what I see more in the parents once the game starts. When their daughter make a mistake, or the team doesn't do it with it, she don't get a hit, she hits, or she is successful. What are their emotions? So what do I look for? Are they supportive? That's one thing I believe in as for its parents, and I tell all parents, have a relationship with your kid, have a relationship with your daughter, whether it's a male or female. Have a relationship, because ball is ball. Ball can end anytime, but your relationship will not. So you want a relationship where your daughter will come to you anytime. Well, just talk about ball, talk about life, talk about things going on with her, but you don't want that situation where your daughter she has a bad game, but she don't want to talk to you because she knows you're going to jump down her throat because she made a mistake, or didn't play as hard, or whatever the case may be. Now, on the flip side, it's an investment. All right. So I understand that piece of it. It's an investment. So just like anything else, if it's an investment, I expect to get something out of it when I invest. So, but I think that's a conversation, and that's an understanding between parent and daughter, whatever the case may be. So we look for great parents that want to support. And I'm not naive. I'm not naive or anything. Like this is travel ball. This is travel ball, and a lot of parents build relationships. I'll build a relationship with parents as well, but I understand also that parents and players are in this thing for one reason. All right, that's to get to the next level. So that's my goal, to help them get to the next level. So would there be a relationship after they are done with this? Maybe for some, and for some they move on with life. That's just part of it. So I understand, parents that come in and their ultimate goal is what their daughter is going to get out of the deal. What's the purpose of being in travel ball? What's the purpose of being on a team like ourselves? Can we promote, whatever the case may be? So we're looking for good parents, good supportive parents, support their daughters. It's always a plus when we have parents that support a team. Like they are in it for every kid that's on the team, but that's rare too. So all those things have been looked at. We don't want to have crazy parents and, yelling at umpires and all that type of stuff, or,
Yeah, I always say umpires and TSA agents. You ain't gonna win an argument with either one of those.
Yeah, so having that, and then, like I said, one thing that I would say is, and then, like I said, this is probably off subject, is a relationship with parents and coaches, and parents and daughters, because there's sometimes your daughter, you have to realize your daughter's not going to have the best situation, or they feel like it's the best situation, or whether they may not be playing, or a parent may feel like they should be playing. And this is what we call adversity, whatever the case may be, because it's not, and I'm going to say there's a fit for everyone. But one thing I would say, even when a parent has a disagreement with a coach or something like that of the sort, keep that conversation between parents. Don't let that feed over to the child, whatever the case, because that can bring, the daughter starts to feel a certain way about the coaches, whatever the case may be, instead of just going out there and playing the game and earning it. So that those things happen. So those one of the key points for me is like just making sure parents understand, like, okay, when it comes down to conversation and stuff like that, keep the conversation away from. I know when I was growing up, I'm old school a little bit too. I'm very old school. So when I was growing up, when adults were talking, a child stays in a child place, you go outside and play. You're never able to be around adults when they're talking, having a conversation, whether it's about you or about them or whatever the case, about somebody else. A child was never able to be around. But you see in this day and time, where a lot of parents are what they call friends with their child, whatever the case may be. And they talk to them about everything, was talking bad about a coach, talking bad about another parent, talking bad about another player, or whatever the case may be. So those are certain things and that don't have anything to do with travel ball. That has everything to do with sports in general.
Sports in general and life. And it occurred to me while you're talking here that these teams, this is the elite. This is right before college scholarships. And yet, you ain't got a team of 9 girls. You got an elite team, and some of them still sit on the bench.
Yep.
Boy, that must be tough to navigate. I mean, I'm just here. This is just hitting me that you've got these girls that are going to Oklahoma and Arkansas and South Carolina and Auburn and Alabama, and some of them sit on the bench.
I would say to that, and like I said, what we do here is a little bit different, and I just take our rosters. So our younger team rosters are a little bit smaller. Our older teams are a little bit larger, where they get to 15. And my rosters were a lot of times they start off like with 20, 23 players or something of the sort. Right now I have a roster of 19. Now there's reasoning for us to have rosters like that. For one, injuries, because they go through school ball, and it's a grind for those girls, because travel ball is right after school ball. So you sometimes we come up with injuries and XYZ. So if you have a smaller roster, then now you're trying to scramble for players, and maybe players that maybe fit what you're doing or may not fit what you're doing. So you just need numbers at that point. You need bodies.
Right.
So we have a little bit larger roster, whatever the case. Now, one of my things is, and again, one of the things, we used to go out to California, like we go to California now, and we used to go play the California teams. And it's, we would go out there with our small rosters. And then when I first started, those California teams would have rosters of 25, 28. They have a rule now, you have to have 23. But we'll go out there and play those teams, and they got a runner coming off the bench. They was always subbing, and we just couldn't hang. We could not hang with them because we had our small rosters. But like California, they were used to it. They used to competing, and parents didn't blow up because of a large roster. So it took us some time here to build our rosters up, because down here in the South, nobody want to play on a team that you have more than 12 players on. Like, my kid needs to play.
Right.
Now there's still some teams like that, and some coaches don't like to manage those rosters. For me, I came from a collegiate level, came from Alcorn State, so I'm used to roster. Of course, I played baseball, so you roster of 36, that's nothing. And when I first started coaching collegiate softball, the roster was 15. So coming from baseball to softball with a roster of 15, I'm like, whoa, I need numbers. I gotta be able to scrimmage. I gotta be able to help. You gotta be competitive. I gotta be able to push somebody, push players. If somebody make a mistake, I need to have a sub, or whatever the case may be. So now my thing is for our rosters now, and I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but this is what works for us. My thing is getting players prepared for college. Now, one thing I cannot do is, I don't know what direction you would go in once you make it to college. Some of our players, they go in and start right away. Some of our players go in, they got to fight for their position. Some of our players go in and they got to play a totally different position. And some of our players got to sit out. I don't know what that platform would be. And like, so with my roster right now, some of my players, they come in with, like, you got to earn it. You're not going to just be given a spot. You're going to earn it. So you can be hot for the first 3 weeks, but if you go cold, that means somebody can come in and find their way into the lineup. And you find your way in the lineup, you stay in the lineup. But that's college also. An injury may come up, and you find your way in the lineup that way. So it's different. Like I said, everything is like, we've had players that come in, and I know one particular player in mind, she went to college. She was a shortstop catcher, ended up playing right field, but she was playing right field with someone else. So it was the same player, but when she didn't play well, the other player went in. She didn't play well, she went in. So coach was just looking for that one player that was consistent just a little bit. And she ended up getting beat out. And she struggled with that a little bit, because through playing in younger years, playing through travel ball, even playing on my team, she always played. She was a starter. But what happens when you don't start? What happens when you're not that number one player? And some players don't know how to deal with that. And we do help players navigate through that through travel ball. I had one player that I used to work with all the time. I'm talking about, I did hit lessons with her, all the training, played through the whole organization, got to her senior year, playing for me, and struggled her senior year. And I told her parents, this is the best thing for her going into college, because she never felt sitting on the bench before. She never felt it. She never knew what it felt like to try to come off the bench, try to find her way back into the lineup. I said, this is going to help her, which some people will look at that as a bad thing, because everybody like, I need to play before I go to college. I need to play. But how many players that played their whole career of, youth softball or any sport and go to college and sit on the bench to start off? I got to earn a spot. How many players do that? So those are things that we do. Like I said, I've been doing it for a little while now, and it's always different. It's always different. Every year, each team is different. Each player is different, and we just try to help navigate through the process of what it's like. Like, so some people ask me now, what's your team going to be like? I don't know. I don't have a clue. I'll wait till the summer and I'll find out, because I don't have a clue what type of team I got right now. I know we have some players. They're competitive, but what does my lineup look like? I don't have a clue. There may be some people that I assume in my head maybe starters may end up not being starters. I don't know. But those are things that we help parents with also, because some parents are not used to seeing their daughters not play. And one of the things is, don't find an excuse for your daughter not playing. Sometimes it's just, maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not putting in the right work. Maybe mentally they're in a certain place, they can't come out of it. There are players And there's, like I said, in this world, softball world, a lot of parents would say, "Hey, my daughter, she plays better when you got to give her a few reps, like she got to get a few games." But that may not be her situation. You may have to come off the bench. Like, give me a quality at bat coming off the bench, and that may grant you more at bats. You may end up being a defensive player for your start. I don't know. Like I said, or you may be that player that everybody got to have on the field. So those are different things that had to be navigated through in a travel ball sense.
Man, this is so interesting, and I appreciate so much you guys, your time here today. I think this has been incredibly informative for the audience, certainly for me. And we wish you guys just the greatest of success going forward for your daughter and your son.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
And, I'm still amazed that Rebecca chose you. So we're happy for y'all too. But thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time here.
No problem.
And anything we can do to help or promote the Birmingham Thunderbolts, we will.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. See you soon.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Post boom.
I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Foul ball netting for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by lostletters.com, a historical website providing critical answers to school children who have asked the same questions for 100 years. Perhaps you remember asking a teacher why the word knife needs a K to spell it correctly. Why not just N-I-F-E? Why does the word bright need a G in it? Or an H, for that matter? Why is it not spelled B-R-I-T-E? And if it were spelled that way, would the word need an E on the end of it? You can now find the answers to these questions and understand the teaching conspiracy that has existed for decades by subscribing to lostletters.com. Lostletters.com is a compendium of information that not only informs but will manage to anger you about the irrational education you actually received. You'll learn the origin of the letter H in words like ghost and echo. You'll finally understand where the B in subtle and the P in receipt came from. It's all there on lostletters.com. Ever wonder why the grading system is A, B, C, D, F? Log in and subscribe today, and you'll receive a free hardcover book revealing why the letter E was not chosen to be the worst grade you could get. It's a conspiracy right up there with the Kennedy assassination and Roswell, New Mexico. We are lostletters.com.